Hello, my name is Arvel Bird. I'm a Southern Paiute mixed blood, but I'm sitting here in Apache territory now. This is the foothills of the Dragoon Mountains on the west side, a place of historical significance. It was here in this area back in 1861 that a young lieutenant from West Point came here to the Arizona Territory. He was wanting to make a name for himself, so he thought that he would capture Cochise, the great Chiricahua war chief. So he devised a plan and invited Cochise to come to his tent for supper one night at the Butterfield Station. Well, Cochise was thinking this was a social calling, so he brought along his wife and his two young children. He invited his brother and his two young nephews to come with him. And they were all invited into the tent and sat down around the table to have supper. And after they had enjoyed their supper, they were all served coffee. They have to understand that Indian people like their coffee. They called it black medicine. And so they were all poured their coffee, and just as Cochise was getting ready to take a sip from his coffee cup, Bascom stood up from across the table and pointed his finger at Cochise and accused him of stealing 20 head of cattle and kidnapping a 12-year-old boy. Well, this kind of thing had happened before, but Cochise hadn't heard about it. But he vowed to Bascom that he would find the perpetrators and have the cattle and the boy all returned. But this wasn't good enough for Bascom. He said, "No, I'm going to hold you all hostage." Well, now things were getting tense. Cochise hadn't had a sip from his coffee yet, and he was being accused of something he hadn't done. So, underneath the table, he lifted his leg quietly, pulled that knife out of his boot, quickly turned around and cut a hole in that tent. He jumped through that hole in the tent, dashed up the hill behind him, jumping from rock to rock between the bushes. The soldiers were opening fire on him, and they say that he reached the top of the mountain, wounded in the arm, but still holding his coffee cup. Good cup of coffee is hard to come by back then, I guess. He escaped, but his family was held hostage. And later on, before he could get his family back, his brother and the two young nephews were hanged. Well, this started a war between the great Apache Nation and the U.S. government. A war that lasted 13 years. But it was a war in which Cochise was never killed or captured. And it's partly because of this place that I'm sitting in here, the Dragoon Mountains. This is a place of mystery, of intrigue. Because it was this place that Cochise would come to rest, to heal his wounds, to restore the energy that made him invincible to the White Eyes. This is a place the government, the army, would never come and try to take him. Even though they knew he was here, it's a place where you could see anybody coming for 40 miles in any direction. They knew it was a suicide mission to come in here because the place is filled with giant boulders, cliffs and canyons, caves and crevices. It's a perfect place for hideout and ambush. This is the place that Cochise is buried somewhere, and he lies undisturbed. A place known as the Cochise Stronghold. This fiddle tune's called the Cochise Stronghold. And if you listen to it closely, you'll be able to hear the sound that the cavalry makes as they're rushing towards this stronghold to capture Cochise, and they stop short. The Cochise Stronghold.